What's up, guys? Barry Gaming here, back with some more Idle Heroes, and today we are on a much more advanced account. Again, thanks to Lars. The number of accounts Lars has is absolutely insane, and it makes for testing really fun. You can see right here, we have a very solid B tier version of King of the Abysmal Sea, Norton Haig. We also have, of course, fully fully origined out tree. Granted, the core is not quite all the way maxed out, but there is a cool way to chance, and this is a really good opportunity to see how he can fit into a more traditional account with heroes that you would normally see. Now, the first thing I want to do, let me just check his artifact setup. I, of course, need to get, it looks like he was probably doing something with speed here, so the boots are not in the right spot. This is going to mean he's losing a little bit of stats. And this is going with the melodic strings too, which is an interesting take on this. It is dealing damage to everybody. It's also reducing the damage reduction the enemy have, and that might not be a bad idea getting a round one active. Granted, I don't know if melodic would be the best energy choice. To be honest, Splendid Demon Bell might be good. Heck, even getting a basic attack with Rui Scepter wouldn't be too bad, I feel like. Because there's a chance to stun them, but they already have to have Undercurrent on them, which is the only downside here. But again, it also inflicts Undercurrent on them, so it's an interesting take. But again, most everything on this account is built around this Lord of Fear Aspen. But again, you'll notice here we have some interesting setup situations because of going through things like, going into the guild modes and doing those. So I'm going to set a team up in a interesting manner, and we're going to see how this team can actually perform. So here's the team we're going to try to do a little progression with here today. Now, we are on 6-1, and this is not exactly the best hero to be trying against them, well, because he does crowd control as well. But I'd love to see how this team actually does perform. We got, Valkyries are there, so I kind of want to hit Valkyrie in the back. We have, of course, a Therapist Blood Betty, which is both a negative and a positive in this situation. And I do want to use Hyperspace on our Idle Mock for a little bit additional shielding. And honestly, we kind of need to go offensive here as well. I'm thinking this team might work. I also think we do still need to go with the core on Betty as well, just to try to get whatever CC we can out. It is a negative because we are going to take damage in that situation. And man, actually, I might have to change up and go back to a more offensive Lord of Fear Aspen too. The big thing is he's got to survive to his active. That's going to be the biggest thing. Now, oh, wait, no. I actually just remembered I can't use the Rui. The Rui is like a double-edged blade in this situation. You always want to run Rui, but you really want to run just energy so that the first time she gets hit, you get to do a nice big hit. I think no matter what, he's taking a crazy amount of damage. You know what? I actually think I need to change this up a little bit. I think I need to go to something like a crown, and then potentially on Lord of Fear Aspen, go to the melodic strings for a very big, bursty, active skill. We can give it a shot. I just don't know if this is actually going to be successful. This is a very tough wave, and this is a situation where I don't think Norton Haig is going to necessarily help our issues out. So again, we get some damage out, but it was not great. It definitely was not great. And yeah, because crowd control is such a bad thing on this wave, I think for one of these waves that's already an extremely difficult one to get past is probably going to continue to be extremely difficult to get past. Yeah, even our Aspen isn't super strong to get like a big chunk of damage done on the enemy. Granted, I will say the survivability in Norton Haig, kind of impressive. His damage is actually up there, surprisingly decent comparing it to other heroes. We could actually go through some of these older bosses. I think even boss 3 has not been attempted on this account. So you go and use some of our challenges, see if we can make it work. We of course want you across from there. Probably want, actually I don't know if we want Betty on this one, to be honest. This one could be a little weird having Betty in the formation. Go with the snake here. We're gonna put him across from the boss. Man, actually, that's a good question. I actually don't know if we want Betty on this type of team. It's been a while since I've done boss 3. I think this is the one that casts a lot of crowd control, or is that the boss 2? Either way, we need a ton of damage on our Lord of Fear Aspen to hopefully bust through the enemy formation. And yeah, you kind of forget how difficult some of these earlier bosses are when you already have like a well-established account, because it is a huge amount of power difference that you are just not going to be able to punch your way through, which is kind of crazy. I don't even think against boss 1, which is way back here, on difficulty 4. Now this one's tricky because you don't want you on this one. You actually want more, I feel like, healing than anything else. I'm actually going to activate Queen's ability here and hope this is one that holds up pretty well. Now the front line usually are the ones that go down faster, so I think leaving Norton Haig in the front is probably the correct play here as well. Granted, most of us got this first boss down back when Mystic Fairy Freya was completely broken and not working properly. The whole way you survive against this wave, though, is with Hyperspace Hunter Ilamok. If you don't have Hyperspace Hunter Ilamok against the first boss here, it becomes extremely difficult because you need blocks and you need to be generating those shields every round to have a chance of surviving the big damage. Now, that is the cool bubble you get to see with the new hero. You have both the shield bubble and these new big bubbles, which, again, really weird to see, but the counterattack damage is really what gets crazy here. And yeah, it's just like the reflect damage, essentially. His survivability, pretty decent. And again, yeah, Hyperspace Hunter Ilamok is usually the one that is living the longest on your account in this type of situation. Sadly, not going to hold up. Now, again, his damage is pretty dang good considering there is a lot more investment into this Lord of Fear Aspen. It's interesting. I don't know if we're going to be able to make any progression on any of these bosses necessarily, but being able to see a 1-to-1 scenario, putting him up against a Lord of Fear Aspen for like a comparison, kind of a cool way to look at it, because everybody uses a Lord of Fear Aspen, and it's kind of an interesting thing to see if this hero is possibly usable. There is one major downside to this hero, I will say, for earlier game, and that's you kind of want to try to find a way to make him viable. And the best way to do that is probably Interstellar Huntress Patricia main householder. Granted, he's in the same slot as Doppelganger Natalia, and as we all know, Doppelganger Natalia is like one of the best support / damage dealers in the entire game, so him directly competing with her is not what I call something that is great. Yeah, it just seems like overall this account is probably going to be missing out on damage for a lot of these bosses here. We probably need to be running on Lord of Fear Aspen and Antlers Cane, to be honest, and hoping that we have enough survivability from all these different heroes, giving tons of shield and everything, and keeping the team alive. Without that, a little sketchy, but again, we have shields from Hyperspace on our Ilamok, we have shields from Norton Haig, so these are all pretty cool things. The thing I think he misses the most, he doesn't have enough damage to make up for the fact that he does provide support and stunning and stuff on enemies, whereas I feel like Natalia just doesn't sacrifice her damage. She still has her damage. She has the support capabilities. It's going to be up there because, of course, he lived more rounds, but I don't necessarily know if I would go all in on this type of hero. He does have some potential, but as far as overall viability, he's in this weird middle ground of being able to provide damage, but also being able to provide support. But again, it really just comes down to a direct comparison with the Doppelganger Natalia. And I just feel like Natalia's abilities just synergize so much better with your main carry, because again, that shield is going to be going right to your main damage dealer because of the way it works. And then beyond that, like I said, the one thing I thought would have been really, really cool is making him a second or third Transcendence hero for another hero, but as you guys see there, Interstellar Huntress Patricia is really the only other viable option, and of course he has to sit on tenant spot 2 between him and Natalia. Now, if it was maybe in tenant spot 4 between him and Hyperspace Hunter Ilamok, I feel like it would be a much easier decision to maybe go for him, but the fact that it's him and Natalia right now does not bode well for his overall viability. So we'll have to see. You never know. He might be a tenant for the newest hero that comes out coming up soon here. We'll just have to see how it turns out. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know how you guys have been enjoying or not enjoying this hero, because I know some people love him, some people haven't, and a lot of people haven't even built him just yet. See you guys next time.